Hello. Welcome to the Out of the Box Developer session. Today I'm here with Money. Hey, Money, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Fine,
Hugo, how's it going?
thanks. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, we have been talking a lot about AI tools in open sources, and yeah, we have seen all these events currently. Not so recent. I already have some days, but we had the Microsoft build, and also Google I/O was recently, right? I think last month they have presented their keynotes, and many of them related to these generative algorithms, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's taking the world. It's bringing back the same buzz that we had when we had mobile phones. Even before that, when we had web browsers, and even that before that we had internet, and even before that when we had PCs, right? In the
Yeah,
80s and early 90s when we had laptops and PCs and like sometimes even handheld devices, smart devices at that time. So we are actually repeating this cycle over and over, which happens every 10, 15 years. This time it's a cycle in a more, it's an inner cycle, like it's like an inner loop. It's more like a more specific thing, right? AI to do with communication and interaction, and it's using all these other cycles as well, right? You're running it on a PC, you're using the internet, you're connecting with people, you're networking, and you're, let's say, congregating data from what different people have said from all over the world, and using a lot of people's skills, and you're passing it on to people, and you're crowd surfing and making use of collective intelligence to feed the models and also to respond back to the people who are using the models.
no, we
So it's
are
a lot
kind
of
of
different things
both.
in one go. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, so we've been also bringing some tools uh, to get you a little bit closer to this. How can I say? Can I say it's a hype, Money, or yeah, it's really changing things for the developers.
So good question. So I don't know if you know about uh, the chasm.
Yep.
You know what that is? What I'm talking about? I think I
I,
mentioned this.
I get to know this word this weekend actually. Breaking the chasm.
Yes,
Chasm.
that's the one.
Yeah.
But let's see if that's the one. Yes. So I'm going to share a link which is going to take us very close to what I'm referring to. I usually don't find the right diagram that actually represent it, but we will come across in that link that I sent you. Those are very simplified versions of, when a technology comes in, what happens, right? You have, let's take a very simple one. Crossing the chasm is actually what's called. The very simple one would be uh, this link that I'm sharing, which if we can share it with our audience, that'll be great. Um, so what's happening there? Maybe I can screen share a little bit here. Um, and we got a lot of small different things to share today, isn't it? It's not
Mhm.
one thing. So if you look at that, you have the innovators. There's a small chasm, and then you have the early adopters, right? There's a big chasm. Scary question. Then the early majority get in. Then there's a peak. Then the late majority get in, but they get in towards the tail end, and then the laggards get in all the way towards the end when it dies out, right? So isn't this very similar to what happens in our industry? The innovators, when they were working on it in the last 5 years, you can say, not even 10 years, in the last 5 years, there was hardly any takers, right? It's that green block over there, if you can see.
Yep.
Is that right, Hugo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then now we have seen the start of the early adopters, isn't it? If you see in this diagram, if you
Hmm.
see this rise,
Yeah.
you see that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and now we don't know yet. But I think we are coming to this where all these questions are coming in. All the questions are
Mhm.
coming, right? The question you
Yeah.
asked is in this
Mhm.
gap here. Are you agreeing with me? Do you see this?
Mhm.
And we are in that rise over here. And so the early majorities are getting on there. But there's a whole bunch of late majority that are sitting on the fence.
Mhm.
They will get in there when the technology will be mature and stabilized and it'll plateau. And it'll become like the next Web 2.0 or the mobile 3.0. And that's when all the latecomers will come in. So that's one point of view. And I think I've seen other more elaborate ones where uh, the descriptions are a lot more broader and detailed, but the idea remains the same. So the answer to your question is it a hype? Right? Actually, here's a better one I can show you. I wouldn't say better one, but another one which has got it's got a it has got examples on it. Right? Are you able to see this?
Oh, let me share here.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing the screen. Yeah,
Yeah. We are seeing now.
you are right. Okay.
Mhm.
Were we able to see the previous one as well, or this is the only one
Yes.
we were?
Yes, we can see the previous one. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we were brought because I wasn't able to see the screen and the share at the same time. Okay. So if you see over here, it's similar to what we just saw earlier. You have the innovators. That's a small portion, and let's say they started -5 years from before what the when we started hearing in the industry, right? And this is
Yeah.
about Amazon Kindle, Twitter, Facebook, all those technologies, and then YouTube. And in fact, interesting, there's no year mentioned here, but it makes sense that you can see all of the individuals and companies were among the early adopters and early majorities, and then eventually the late majority started adopting things like Gmail, MySpace, and then it started dying out, right? Because it started to become a norm, but the adoption rate decreased, and then the laggards were all this using all these other technologies, right? Which is the mass market, and so this is also an interesting way to look at it. So is this hype? So where is the hype? The hype, I think, is starting from the early adopters till somewhere in the early majority, and then it plateaus over here. It peaks out, right, where you see on the top,
Mhm.
and then it slowly tries to die out. So I think when we are in in the process of adopting it, it feels there's a massive rise and everybody's going for it. It's because we are on the top end of the curve. Now, where is the curve going to stop? We don't know. This is just a hypothetical diagram, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah.
So everybody's in the exuberance, right? Hey, this is a great thing. Oh yeah, but when it starts stabilizing and everybody's done enough of it, then it'll start stabilizing and plateauing and then start declining, right? Then no, people are not going to talk about this because it's a norm. It's already integrated. Like nobody talks about mobile phones these days because it's like a uh,
It's like
it's
a normal
it's
device now.
yeah, it's nothing. There's nothing new about it. It's a given.
Yeah.
The internet, mobile, computers,
So
uh, retina screens, flat screen device, you name it, it's a given, right? It's not
yeah.
like a big deal, isn't it?
Yes.
So we are, and maybe what I can do is maybe search for crossing the chasm and maybe say generative AI. Maybe somebody has put on the internet something on generative AI. Aha.
So
So I have found something. If you want me to show this.
cool. But to add someone else here to help us on this discussion, let me call Bruno. He just entered us here. Hey,
Oh, he
Bruno,
did. All right.
how are
Hello,
you?
sir. How are you doing?
Hey,
Bruno.
hey, hello. How are you guys doing? Hey, Yogo. Hey,
Yeah,
Money. How you guys
good.
doing?
All very
Long
well.
time no see.
I know, long time no see. We have already had 3 sessions since the time we were last talked to you.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Because I have been
and we'll
this
probably have
crazy trip, right? And it's very
we'll have
hard to
three
do
more
things that.
sessions. We may even have three more sessions by the time you return to Brazil.
No, no, that's not that much.
I'm just exaggerating. We were just talking
Yes,
about the
yes.
chasm, and how I was trying to show. I mean, I haven't shared this yet, but I was trying to share with everybody the generative AI chasm. If uh, the breaking the chasm,
Yes.
the world famous. I think it was started by Gartner or somebody, and it kind of maps
Yeah,
where
there was a
things
book,
are.
I think.
Yeah, where it comes up map. So this is like a very vanilla diagram. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
you can see the early stages algorithms that seem to work, then cool demos. Then there's a big winter. That's the AI chasm, and then suddenly you have all these things happening, isn't it? So
Um,
now
I don't know.
that's one way of looking at it, but different people have done different things with this.
Right, right.
Yeah. So I haven't
Yeah,
found
I
anything.
think that's no, that's a difference. This chasm right there is different than the one you're talking before.
Oh yes, this is the
Because that's a
generative
value.
AI one. This is the
Yeah,
generative
no,
AI
no,
one.
I know, but that's value to customers in a stage of AI development. It's not the same thing. It's not the adoption graph that you're talking before.
Yeah, yeah, true. That is true. Yes, this is not exactly the. Yeah, this you're right. This is not exactly the chasm we are talking about. Funnily, there isn't anybody on the internet who has put up a generative AI chasm that we can use as an example. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are other examples that talk about just the chasm in general,
Mm-hmm.
but not for the specifically for AI. But we started off with a general one, and then we came to this one
Right,
thinking there might be one for AI as well, and
right.
it doesn't seem like there is one. I mean, just before you signed in, we were showing this one here.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was watching.
oh, you were. So yeah, we were showing
Yes.
this one here, which is a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It is a lot more illustrative to what we were, what we would call as a chasm, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's just that's talking about adoption, right? And
yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
you got a very good question. Are we in a hype? Is it a hype? And I would say yes and no. We are in a hype, but the hype is going to define where we are going to land.
Mm-hmm.
Hype minus something is going to define where we are going to land. And when we start slow down, is when we will know that the hype is now stabilizing and the reality is kicking in. But we never know in our industry when the hype stops and when reality kicks in. It automatically happens that we don't even know, and a moment later, could be a year or 6 months later, we realize, oh, it's integrated in so many things. It's a second nature. It's like it's already part of our system.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think.
I think it depends, right? So, for example, in terms of ChatGPT, not AI in general, right? But I think in terms of ChatGPT, uh, from what I can see, I think we're already talking about we're beyond the early adopters, and we're definitely talking about the early majority, right? Because you see, I've been listening to people using ChatGPT in all kinds of fields, right? People that are not even extremely techie savvy, right?
Mhm.
So we've been hearing about, uh, you know, uh, professors, I mean, like school professors and students from all kinds of areas, and I mean, you name it, right? So copywriters and everyone, right? Everyone is talking about like a
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, when I was going to talk about uh, like sports teachers, right? I mean,
Mhm.
look, everyone is talking about ChatGPT, right? So I think ChatGPT is definitely beyond the early adopters, right? And um, of course that's how technology works, right? So different technologies have uh, different products in the same area have uh, different adoption rates, right? So if you look at the graph that you have in front of you, we have, for example, Gmail, Pop, and Exchange. I mean, those are three things. They are in the exact same area, right? And they have different adoption moments, right? Um, so I think that ChatGPT is. I'm not sure AI in general, but I think we can talk about different things in AI, right? But ChatGPT is definitely on the early majority for sure. That's my
Oh
opinion.
yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, the early adopt the thing is, it's moving so fast that I think that it's this is like a very modest curve, right? I think it's a
Hmm.
hyperbolic exponential curve like that, which is going straight up, and we don't know when it's going to plateau because it's exponentially rising in so many directions. And companies are now also taking a lot of interest in it because of the advantages they see in it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, we're totally in the early majorities section. Uh, I don't know if there is much for late majorities in this situation, because if you're not early enough with something like this, you might fall behind quite a bit, isn't it?
Oh, but
Because the
that's
industries.
normal, right? Yeah, yeah. The late majority and the laggards will fall behind on that's normal, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have that everywhere. We still have businesses that are using software that's 20 years old or 30
Right.
years old.
Yes.
Yeah, so they are
Yeah.
still in the
Yes.
late majority or laggards actually, not even the
Right.
late majority. So yeah, you're right. In every in every situation, we will have that.
Yes. Exactly. So Glayton asks, what if everybody is using ChatGPT? Would it be scalable? What do you guys
So
think?
that's a very good question. So that is something I think we've been hearing in the news, that
Hmm.
they had to make this a paid subscription and could not sustain it to keep it open and for free.
Hmm.
At the same time, if you see, they are making up to $250 million loss every year.
Hmm.
Uh, and yes, it's not going to be scalable, because if more and more people are going to integrate with it and have their customers use it and their customers use it, at some point in time, it's going to crack. But there's also another problem here. The suppliers of the information to ChatGPT, they are also cracking down in a way. Like Reddit, for example, has made its um, what do you call it, subreddits. They are no longer scrapable. You have to
Hmm.
subscribe to it and pay for it. Now, maybe at some point in time they'll have some agreement and they'll make
Hmm.
it a paid subscription, because if ChatGPT can monetize what it's doing, they can share that with Reddit and come to some agreement. But then every
Hmm.
supplier of ChatGPT starts putting in this subscription model before it, it's not going to be able to scrape the data anymore. So there is that issue there as well. So
Right.
that scalable question is actually a double whammy if you look at it the way I'm coming from it. Not
Hmm.
only there'll be an increase in the demand of the usage, but the increase in demand in the usage will also expect the increase in the quality of the content that they're getting. At least they'll want it to be the same or higher, because they're paying for something. And now ChatGPT I'm speculating here, may or may not be able to keep up with the quality and the quantity of content, because of the
Hmm.
suppliers or the sources from which ChatGPT is getting its information from, suddenly might dwindle down for various
Hmm.
reasons. You got the monetization, but you could also have the legal aspects, right? Because all
Yeah.
this while
So
we were
so
not talking about ethics in AI and privacy,
right.
but now that'll come up.
So so you're talking about Reddit, and one thing that I heard this past few days is that both Reddit and Stack Overflow, right, have seen massive reduction on their on access, right?
Mm.
Because ChatGPT. Do you have any information about that? I just heard that. I don't know if
No.
that's true or not.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised with it, because when you go to Reddit or uh, Stack Overflow and you write a question, that question is only translated using natural language processing, like basic natural language processing. that natural language processing 10 years ago or even 5 years ago was useful because it
Mm-hmm.
still was complex. Today, with
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT's ability to parse what you're saying and understand your intent and map it to more rich information, is far higher than going to Stack Overflow or Reddit and typing in a question and getting an
Mm-hmm.
answer, right? So
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised by it. And plus, ChatGPT is able to aggregate various sources, and a lot of times it's labeled information, a lot of time it's credible information, and bring that all that to you in a collated, summarized format, and you can see the
Mm-hmm.
detail or the summarized format. So Reddit and Stack Overflow might have to hook into ChatGPT and query their own database and get the information in the same form in order to stay competitive.
Right.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. So, firstly, if they monetize, I don't know if that's going to help them. Maybe it might help them, but if they don't level up their game with ChatGPT, again, I don't know if it's going to help them.
Right.
It definitely may not help them if they don't, because as you said, if the user base is moving to other value-added service providers who are providing better service or content than Stack Overflow or Reddit, then yeah, like we were talking about a tool Perplexity, which we'll show a little bit later. I have it installed here, and that's
Mm-hmm.
doing yet another thing with
Mm-hmm.
something like ChatGPT, but you can do some more crazy stuff with it, right? Simple but crazy stuff. um, we have a video as well to share, but there's a proper video I wanted to share, and maybe I'll share it on Twitter. But so tools like that are going to give Stack Overflow and Reddit a run for their money, because soon that information they have there may not be very useful, because it's a lot of it's like having lots of printed books in our library, which is great, but if you want to search for something, digital books are the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have to manually search through your printed books, then it's if you've got shelves and shelves of books, it's going to take you hours to get to one thing. But so that's the comparison that can happen there. But that's just
Right.
my speculation. I don't know what you think, Hugo. Hugo has been quiet and he's been listening. He has not been asking any questions today.
Well, actually, I was searching about the news relating Stack Overflow traffic drops, and yeah, actually, at Gizmodo, I found this
Mm-hmm.
article. So yeah, actually, there was sound to be true, and there is some relation maybe. And yeah, one thing that is interesting for me is to think about how we are talking about tools, AI tools, and I see a lot of interesting quotes from people saying not. In the beginning, I think people are afraid of these AI tools to take over their jobs or stuff like that. And now I think that we got in a more realistic moment, and it's more clear that it's not the tool, but actually the people that knows how to use the tool, they probably will be much further than you if you don't get updated maybe. I've been seeing
Mm-hmm.
many tools here. Like the other one I mentioned in the last session about semantic kernel to put AI tools inside your application, your code, but also Copilot and other things that help developers to develop better. So that's something I think it's interesting to see and to be touching with. Yeah, and yeah, that was things that I was I was thinking about. I see Clayton also mentioned it here about the thinking about the amount of power electricity consumed by all the GPUs, even though people is paying for it. And yeah, there is lots of resource that is consumed by uh, all these models, right? And uh, here it's something I'm not sure. How about you guys? What do you think about that? We are passing we are using too much resources. It is not that much that we see in some news. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, you know what we were hearing about GPUs being used in the past for deep learning? You can think of that as hundredfolds, because these models are a lot more sophisticated and a lot more people are building such large models. So, previously, people were building models which were, according to them, large. But if you know that generative GPT, generative AI, and these chat GPT like models, they are in billions of parameters, and then they
Hmm.
take also long to build, and they're big models to operate. The whole infrastructure to maintain such a model is also expensive. And if you have many such companies, and there are and even individuals building such models and maintaining it, you can imagine the amount of computations resources that's going to be consumed. It's far more
Hmm.
than what we did in the last decade. That is for sure. I mean, we don't need to look out for numbers. We will already start seeing numbers of how much uh, how much more carbon footprint we have created in the last 5 years because of the generative AI tools, and the coming 5 to 10 years. But it's also possible there'll be some innovation that will help reduce this, the cost, and reduce the carbon footprint. So it's probably both hand in hand. So we might just stabilize and not use much more than we are using, but we are waiting for that innovative technology to come. One more thing I want to point out to is, you mentioned very rightly, Hugo, it's not the tools, it's but the people who will know how to use these tools who are going to become more important. And actually, one such people who will use such tools are prompt engineers.
Hmm.
That is going to be a rising role. Bruno, watch out. When you're advising people on career guidance, somebody 1 in 10, and then it'll be 2 in 10, and then it'll be 3 in 10, will be prompt engineer related roles. Asking you, Bruno, how can I become a prompt engineer? I'm a DevOps engineer. How do I become a prompt engineer? Or I used to do product
Hmm.
management. How do I become a prompt engineer and enhance my product management skills? Or
All
develop a
right.
product
So
that will help doing that.
all right. So give us a general view of what is a prompt engineer. There's lots of people trying to sell pre-made prompts and this kind of thing. So tell us what a prompt engineer is, Money.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my view of it, and then let us
Hmm.
also hear what Hugo has to say, and then you share your view. So, prompt
Hmm.
engineering is, so firstly, what is a prompt? So, ChatGPT and generative AI, are basically a very basic, I wouldn't say basic, but one analogy is it's a question answer forum. You ask it a
Hmm.
question, and it'll give you an answer. The question that you ask is the prompt that we make to the model for it to come up with an answer for us. So the
Hmm.
answer will be mapped to the nature of the structure of the question you ask it and the way you ask it. So the more
Hmm.
elaborate your prompt is, the more elaborate and well defined your question is, and more clear it is, the more it can help you with your answer. So you can have a very vague answer with a vague prompt, or a very precise answer with a precise prompt with all the details and definitions in it. One of the examples is Mid Journey. You write a descriptive text of what you want the image to look like, and you can also put in technical specifications like resolution of the image, where you want the camera to be, what do you want the transparency to be, what color palette to use sometimes. But you can also have very high level descriptions to it, which are using artistic terms, or you can
Hmm.
have specific fashion related terms, and it understands
Hmm.
all of that. So some images are so good, and they have been just written with few words, and some images
Hmm.
have been very complex, and because they're also written with lots of words. That process of being able to create that narrative or that text or that question or that phrase that will trigger the model on the other end to produce the answer to you that is the most appropriate based on the question you ask is called prompt. And the process of
Hmm.
us being able to create those kinds of questions, or those kinds of phrases, or those kinds of text, that process is prompt engineering. And the
Hmm.
person who's able to do this very well, and has tools and has developed tools or is developing tools or is putting tools together, to able to come up with these prompts based on one successful prompt or based on no prompt and then building it up from scratch. That process is prompt engineering.
Hmm.
That's my view of it. And
All right.
Hugo has actually been doing that, and he showed us a demo last week about semantic kernel, one of the POCs he was working on, where he's created these prompts, standardized prompts and templates. So he's now becoming a prompt engineer. He'll be coming to you for advice no sooner than we finish this session.
Well, a POC, right? Not that I'm becoming prompt engineer, but yeah,
No, it's yeah.
I'm
You start with
playing
the
around.
you start with the POC, right? You start with the POC. Everybody starts with the POC. Even a CTO of a
Yeah.
company will start with a POC. Any
Okay.
product you think of out there, the Google 25 years ago, they started with a POC. You know
Yeah.
what the POC was? It's nearly the same what it is now. If you go to
Hmm.
google.com, that edit box with the Google logo, it was even simpler. In fact, you can Google and find out 25 years ago what it looked like. That was a POC with one backend server or 10 backend servers responding to questions and it parsing NLP questions, right? So it started off with a POC, and look
Right.
where they are. So an individual can be at least somewhere in between where they are and where we are now. So yeah, that it
Hmm.
starts with some basic POC. I mean, a lot of my examples I've been showing on this program have been POCs. They have 1,000 stars on GitHub. It's really hard to get 1,000 stars because once you get 1,000 stars, then the next 200 stars come very quickly. So now it's on 1,200 stars. I didn't even notice it was 1,200 stars. So it started off with a POC, right? People liked it, and it exponentially grows.
Right. So here, are you going to talk about what you think about you go in terms of the prompt engineering thing?
Yeah, it's over to you. You go now.
Oh, well, I recently I heard a very interesting podcast. It was here in a Brazilian podcast. People talking about prompt engineering and how it's getting some space, but also some challenges over this approach. Well, as Mani said, it is to create a prompt and how you create a prompt. That is the engineering behind, right? You have to understand how the model works and to best give a prompt so it can return to you some output. But there is something very interesting that also Gleiton already asked here. If it's similar to the developers' programming languages, and I think maybe quite so. But there's a fundamental thing they mentioned it in a podcast. I thought it was very interesting that uh, it is difficult to sustain the prompt engineering stuff for a long time because it depends a lot on the model, and if the model changes, all the prompt that we created, maybe it becomes quickly invalid, and yeah, we have to rethink all the things, and that was something. Oh, I haven't think about that. That was quite interesting point to consider about prompt engineering. But with the tools that we have now, yeah, it is very interesting to have some output from the models such as we use in ChatGPT. I think we can make it on the end of the session. I can show a little bit about the semantic kernel. It is an SDK that helps you connect to some model and create your own an integration with those models, and also manages context and helps you design applications that needs to use prompt engineering in the middle. And that is something very interesting because it kind of abstracts you with with all the complexities of interacting with it. But yeah, that's one thing I wish to share here. It was very interesting talk I was hearing these days, and yeah, uh, things still have some surprise. I believe that there will come more surprises, more different creative ways to deal with these technologies.
So
How about you,
here's
Bruno?
before you do the demonstration, Hugo. Here's just some thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. Every time I hear people talk about prompt engineer, right? We're talking about creating the right prompts for tools like ChatGPT to interpret and give a result, right? And the impression that I have is that, Money mentioned here in terms of Google, for example, right? So Google didn't change much the interface, but actually Google just got better, right, in actually answering us, right? And um, and Hugo is also talking about, like, the prompt being obsolete. So the thing that I think about is that really those tools, the big thing that they can improve, right? No matter, there's other things they might improve. They might improve the answer, they might improve the models, they might improve all that, but the biggest thing that they can improve is understanding what people want, right? Understanding the language, right? So my impression is that the more those tools evolve, the less we're actually going to need someone to understand how to ask the tools, right? Because that's the whole purpose. So, money, I think that's going to be another hype, right? The prompt engineering, and I think that's in more specialized environments that might be needed. But I actually have the impression that they're going to need less, not more, right? Because I think that the tools will actually going to be a lot better in understanding what we want. So, in a way that more people are actually going to be able to ask and get the right answers.
So yeah, actually, there's some element of truth in what you're saying. But when you're saying prompt engineering, it's a very generic term,
Hmm.
and prompt engineering can happen. Just now we're doing prompt engineering with browsing the web on anything, right? But think of
Hmm.
prompt engineering per domain, business domain, and then sub business domain. You see, we have specialists,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
For example,
Hmm.
I'm thinking of people who deal with metals, gold,
Hmm.
diamonds. It's a very niche
Right.
market, isn't it? Yeah. Even
Hmm.
software, in
Yeah.
software, like, if I say I'm a software engineer, it's so broad because what software engineering are you doing? Oh yeah, okay, I'm doing backend and I'm doing data and machine learning and AI. So now I'm becoming more specific. But if I say I'm a backend software engineer, or I'm a software engineer or a principal software engineer, it's very broad, right? But then
Hmm.
prompt engineering at the principal software engineering level is more generic as opposed to being prompt engineering at the data engineering, machine learning engineering,
Hmm.
data scientist, software engineering level, right? But then even in that, still it's generic because data, machine learning, software all can be applied to different domains, right? Business domains or even technological domains. So now you got to go more specific. So yeah, software engineering using Java, Python, and a whole list of other things, and data science using Jupyter notebooks, Excel, and all that stuff. And now doing prompt engineering there because there's a combination permutations of all those tools, right?
Hmm.
So no matter how much it can become a hype, unless we have specialized. Like I'd met somebody, he says, I work in finance, I love Excel, and I've got a lot of my work in Excel. Do you think ChatGPT is going to be able to help me do my Excel work better, like writing VBA macros? Uh, and what kind of a specific tool do I need to help me do my Excel VBA macros better? Should I go out and make a customized tool for that? So I immediately told him, no, don't go to customization. Take a generic tool and discover the middle ground between the generic tool and how you use it and what you want to use, and then try to come in between. And so that is actually a good example of prompt engineering, right? Because this person is in finance, uses Excel and VBA macros, and maybe they want to convert all of their Excel and VBA macros into Tableau or Power BI or Python and Jupyter, and they may not be able to do it on their own, right? But if they can write the right questions using a tool somebody has written or they themselves develop it, they slowly can convert all of their Excel work for finance into Python running in Jupyter notebooks, step by
Yeah.
step, right?
Yeah. Good point here, Money.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Sorry, Bruno. Yeah, you're back. Yeah, go ahead, Bruno.
No,
Okay.
I just need to get water. So yes. No, totally got money, and I think that's as everything, right? So we might have some tools that are gonna make it easier for normal people to do things,
Mhm.
and we're also gonna have more specialized people that we're gonna need to do the more specialization things, right? So yes,
Yeah.
that's
I
totally
mean, it's
understandable.
it's the same thing now, right? Like, if, for example, IDEs or text editors, right? You got the most specialized one from JetBrains, and JetBrains has mastered it now. For every language, they have an IDE. But you also have generic IDEs, right? For example, VS Code. It's a master of all, jack of all trades, right? You install a plugin, and you'll get that language working in it, or even Sublime Text, or Notepad plus plus. Uh, so they are catering to different people for different needs. But like diehard developers will use IntelliJ, right? They won't use Sublime Text, may not use the Sublime
Hmm.
Text. Well, diehard programmers are settling for VS Code. But
Hmm.
if you really want to do the Java stuff that you're very used to, you'll stick to IntelliJ, right? You won't
Hmm.
use VS Code all the time. So those are the different levels of specialization when you come down into the granularity of the subsets of the population. So I think prompt engineering will always have, and not just prompt engineering, anything like this will always have this necessity to specialize in the specific sectors where people are there, problems are there, solutions are generic, and they need to be specific.
Right.
Cool. And, I see a question here from Glayton. Have you guys ever used AWS Code Whisper? I'm trying to, but I'm not finding that thing, IntelliJ plugin.
Oh, interesting.
I
No,
haven't tried yet.
no,
AWS
no,
Code Whisper.
no idea. Yeah. So I thought there was something. This is a different whisper to the one I heard of.
Yeah. Yeah. AWS Code
There's
Whisper
a
is a competitor to GitHub Copilot, right?
Copilot, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
also there's a whisper with Chat GPT, but it is spelled differently.
Yes. I think that's the one from AWS, right? And yes, Glayton says I'm not finding out that thing. Have you compared Glayton to other things, right? So to Copilot, for example, or to ChatGPT, and you find the other ones better, and your Code Whisper is not that much, or you have not compared to the other ones, and you're just not finding that much, because that's my impression, Glayton, that those tools can be, depending on what you do, depending on like the demo, they can be really, um, they may look very awesome, but when you're using them day to day, they might be less awesome than they look like, right? So in a demo, um, when you ask it, oh yes, just create a web application. That's, oh wow, it creates a web application in just a prompt, right? But when you're using it day to day and you want it to do very specific things, then they're not so amazing, right? Yeah, tried code on ChatGPT. Yes, because here's the thing, right? I think that, and I've seen this. For example, I'm showing to my student, right? So yes, you can use ChatGPT or some other tools to create, like to create articles and to create lots of text and to create submissions to presentations. All of this sounds great, right? But the moment you're gonna use them for something specific, you say, so now I'm gonna write an article helping those tools, and you're like, man, that's not what I wanted to write. Right? When you do the demo, that you're not expecting any special results, right? It's one thing, but when you're actually wanting a specific result, you want something that you really know what you want, right? Then the results are way less than the spectacular, right? So I think a lot of it has to do with your expectation. When you're just doing a demo, you're not expecting anything, so whatever they bring is like, whoa, right? But when you're trying to do something for real, you're expecting some very precise thing, and then those tools don't deliver the very precise thing that you're expecting.
So just to add to that, since you brought this up, Bruno, and it actually validates this quite a few times in this session, what we have been saying, including what Hugo
Mm-hmm.
was saying earlier, is that that's what makes the skills and the need for skilled developers in our industry so
Mm-hmm.
important, because that's when skilled engineers and developers and other skilled people in our industry are able to step in and create that element of specialization that will give the end user, the client, the results that they're expecting or they want to use. And it'll be a very different experience than a demo that we just created, and we are excited about it because we didn't have an expectation and it blew our expectation. But when you have an
Mm-hmm.
expectation, then let's see who can blow us off the water, as they say. I think
Mm-hmm.
so far it's been engineers and developers and other talented people in an industry that have actually come together and built a solution, and they will come to you as well for advice, right? Bruno, there's
Mm-hmm.
all this chat GPT prompt engineering thing happening, and there's already the systems out there that are building solutions that I used to write. What are we going to tell
Mm-hmm.
them? I think we can tell them this, right? So Hugo was also telling earlier that with all these specialization tools, people are worried about their jobs. But I think we had the same thing. Yes, jobs
Mm-hmm.
reduced in one section that looked redundant, but the other section jobs and demand for those jobs will increase, and they won't have any supply for some time because those engineers
Mm-hmm.
and those talented people have not been ready yet to supply those kinds of skills and experience. And those were the people who are going to be doing this next level thing that
Mm-hmm.
you just spoke about, where you're expecting something that the tool is not providing. So you need human
Mm-hmm.
asset to invest in that tool by using human intelligence till the computer learns how to do that, and then we have to, work harder to get better than that. If you know what I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
constant fighting game, racing game.
Right. Yeah. Blayton says here, much what I found in Stack Overflow. Yes, exactly. Right. So, you go to Stack Overflow, you might find great answers, right? For your question that you have, and the more generic your question is, I mean, the simpler your question is, the more answers you're gonna get. But when you
Yeah,
start going very specific in something that some very unique thing that you need, there are no answers, right?
yeah,
So I think that's kind of similar.
yeah. And
Hey Victor,
actually,
how you doing, man?
sorry, go on, Bruno.
No, I just saying
Oh,
hello to
okay.
Victor. That's all, Victor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just today, I happened to ask GPT what are the alternatives to this command, which was available in so and so version of Java, and now what is the equivalent of that in Java 11? And it couldn't answer that to me. What it did, it shared with me a whole bunch of. Actually, I might even have that here, but maybe it's not good enough to share with everybody. It shared with me different links of different articles from different people, but not an answer that gives me a one-on-one jab. This command, this alternative. This command, no alternative. This command, this is a workaround. This command,
Hmm.
nothing. Like it was a
Hmm.
vague answer, and it actually did kind of try to justify that I don't know the details, but look at these resources.
Hmm.
So that's where we are with specialized answers. And I think more and more when people are going to start using these tools, they're going to expect more things that wow them, as opposed to, oh yeah, 1 plus 1 is 2, which
Hmm.
which was great earlier, but now I need to see more specialized answers.
Right. Right.
Cool. I'm thinking we still have 10 minutes. I'm not going to use all the 10 minutes, but I want to give a quick sneak preview of this tool that we were talking about in the beginning of our session called
Hmm.
Perplexity.ai. I think Hugo, I mentioned to you
Yeah.
about it. So if you guys don't mind, I can do a quick run of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
Yeah. Sure.
so, yeah. So what is this? Perplexity.ai is multiple things. It's like chat. I wouldn't compare it to Chat GPT, but just like you sign up on Chat GPT, you sign up on Perplexity AI, and you get an interface like
Hmm.
this. And so things that are popular, it'll show up here. For example, how to calculate compound interest and how it can be. Okay. That's fine. But what's really useful about Perplexity AI is you get a Chrome and a, I think you had multiple browser extension, but I know there's a Chrome and a Brave extension, and this is the extension right here. So
Hmm.
if you go to a website and you click on that extension, I'm gonna switch tabs. I'm actually on this website gold.co.uk, and you click on the extension, you can see this drop down that
Hmm.
pops out. Yeah, I hope you can see that in the screen.
Yeah.
I don't see any drop down. Am I
Okay,
missing
then I
something?
should. I'm going to share it in a different way. I'm going to share. Oh, okay, interesting. It tells me if I have to share screen, I have to be on a separate plan. Okay, I cannot add more screen shares. One. I've got to just give me a second. I need to just make my share facility available again. Okay, so that's a pity because I'm only able to share a tab and not able to share the whole screen. But what I can show you here, or at least try to show you here, is the when I click on the when I go to a website, for example, this one here. Um,
Mm, okay.
are you able to see?
So
Are you
so
able to see?
yeah. So that's weird, money, because I just tried here. I can share the whole screen, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, but do you
Yeah.
have do you have extensions on the top?
Wait, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Browser extensions in the top right
No,
corner.
I have browser extension. I'm not sure what you're
When
talking
you
about,
click
but
on
I'm just
them,
saying that.
yeah. Okay, why don't you share the screen and let me walk you through?
No. I don't have anything for you to share. I
Right.
think that's the reason why we can't see your screen is because you're just sharing a tab, right? So maybe if you share the whole
Yes.
screen, you can see.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not allowing me to share the whole screen. That's the
Uh, yeah, that's.
let me
But I
see.
tried here. I can share the whole screen, but
Okay.
anyway.
All right. I think I've had this before.
Yeah, that's okay. So go ahead. Show what you have right there.
Okay, I think that's going to be difficult without it showing me the screen. Um,
Hmm.
okay,
Give
Can
let's
you
me
just
see.
explain what
Somebody.
you're doing?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is what you can do is this: when you install the plugin, the extension,
Hmm.
and you go to a page, and you
Hmm.
you click on the extension, it drops down a window where you can search the website itself, the whole domain,
Hmm.
or a specific page, and you can ask a question, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, I'm on this page, and I say, and I'm going to do is I'm going to try to share the link of that page. So I'm going to ask a question like on this page. I'm going to ask, what is what has been the highs and lows of the price of gold in the last several weeks, right? And so
Hmm.
it has given me an answer. What I'm going to do is because you cannot see the answer, I'm going to open that answer in a new screen, and I'm going to share that tab. So can you see
Hmm.
this? Can you now see the answer?
Yeah,
So you see my
we can see
question.
it. Uh-huh.
I went to that website. I opened up the extension. I typed in the
Hmm.
question in the extension, and it took my question and it searched on that domain for the answers to
Hmm.
my question. Right. So I'm going to increase the font size. So my question was, what
Hmm.
has been the highs and lows of the price of gold in the last several weeks? Right. So, and these are all the other links which we won't go into. It says the price of gold has been fluctuating over the last several weeks with some highs and lows. Here are some highlights from the search results. Gold price has been trending lower since all-time high in 2011, la la la, and it goes on and so forth, so on and so forth. And it
Hmm.
gives us related questions that other people have asked and answers to them.
Hmm.
Right? What it
Hmm.
has done is has immediately studied that website, because you see, it doesn't study every website, but it has immediately
Hmm.
studied that website and it has come up with an answer to the question that I asked it. Right. So now
Yeah,
there's more to it.
that's very nice. Hmm.
Yeah, and there's more to it because I can search on that page or I can search in the whole domain. Right. I had another question. What is the price of gold going to be next week based on last several weeks? So you see over here, it's not just getting the answer and giving you the answer, right? It's understanding the question, using the
Hmm.
data, and coming up with its own understanding of the answer. So now I have some more. I have more response for that one. So I'm going to open up in a new page and I'm going to share that. And I'm going to. So if you see this, this is my new question. What is the price of gold going to be next week based on last several weeks? So you see, the answer is
Hmm.
also like a human-like answer, right? Or close to it. Based
Hmm.
on the several predictions of gold price next week. However, it is important that these predictions are not guaranteed and are subject to change based on various factors such as economic conditions, political events, and market volatility. Right. So it knows. According to 30rate.com, gold forecast for 10th July is 1980 and a maximum of 2080 and a minimum of 1884. See, it's done all these homework and it's gone to all these different sites and it's summarized. And it didn't even take seconds. If you saw, it was just computing it in like less than 5 to 10 seconds. It has already had this. In summary, based on the available information, the price of gold next week is expected to be around 1883 to $2001 per troy ounce, with a maximum of 2082 and a minimum of 8. And this could be quite about right because I'm not saying it's going to be right, but it's using information based on the information of the past trading, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's one, and a very similar one. I went to another site which shows interest rates. What was my question? My question was, um, what is the best interest rate available today? Okay, very simple, silly question, but let's see what it tells us. So now I've got the response from it, and I'm going to share the tab, and you can see my question right on top there, right? And so, and
Hmm.
if you saw, I was on that other page which had a list of all kinds of interest rates from different types of accounts. And so if you see down below here, based on several results, the type of account and institution, here are some of the highest interest rates available as of 10th of July, which is today. High yield saving accounts, 5%. Certificates and deposits, 6 months, 5.65%. So basically, you can actually what I wanted to show you here is if you went on a very busy website and you were looking for something and you wanted to see the best deal out there, and there's all kinds of information. What it can do is it can Perplexity AI can read all of that information quickly, summarize it, and give you the highlights, and that will make your decision to choose what you want to see quicker and easier. And
Hmm.
this is not something we fed into the computer. It read it on the fly, it did the training, and it came back with the
Hmm.
answer.
Right.
Because it cannot be ChatGPT cannot be scraping every damn website that's out there, right? Perplexity
Right.
is doing something under the hood to do the training on the fly. And then, like for example, if I went to, I tried to do this as well, but I stopped myself. If And this is probably the last one we'll do. If I go to Amazon.co.uk, right, and if I ask Perplexity on this domain, what is the best deal available? Actually, it gives a very intelligent answer, but let me show you that answer. Okay, so it hasn't given me any specific answer, but because it says it already admits it is difficult to determine the best deal available as it depends on individual preference and needs and all that
Hmm.
stuff. So maybe I need to be more specific. So yeah, see, there's a more specific
Hmm.
question here, right? What are the best deals in electronic right now? So let me click on
Hmm.
that and see what somebody else has asked and what the answer has been. So here you go. Anybody's interested in refurbished PowerCore Fusion USB port, refurbished T-Link, TP-Link? As you can see, this tool has made it so easy for me to go and scavenge a website, ask a question. It'll study the contents of the website because I can select whether I want it to study the whole page or the whole domain, right?
Right.
When you install the Chrome plugin, you will see it gives you three things. You can ask it a question. You can ask it a question for a specific page or for a specific domain. And a specific page and specific domain is the page or the domain you're sitting on when you go to that site, and it'll give you the answer studying that information, and it'll organize the answer and show it to you in a fashion like this.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, especially on sites, maybe blogs from people that you follow that have lots of content, could be a great way to figure out what the person would say or what the person would comment on something that's very interesting.
Yeah. I'm just trying one last one. I know I said, and then we stop because we have our usual rituals to do. So I am actually, So I was on YouTube and I asked this question: "What's the most trending video?" Which is a very generic question, as you can see, and so it tells me there are several ways to determine that, right? Because my question was so generic, it gives me a generic answer. But then let's look at a specific one. What are the most popular categories of trending videos on YouTube? Now that is a more specific question, right? Right. So you have music, comedy, entertainment, pop culture, how to, gaming, news, sports, learning, and yeah. What are some examples of popular videos in learning category? That is a more specific question, right?
Yeah.
So and I could have asked my question more specific to get to more specific, and maybe then would start showing me videos. So I will share a video later on and which actually shows how you can actually use Perplexity to further improve the quality of your answer and get more specific stuff. So that's
awesome.
where technology is. You can see how things have been made easy with plugins and extensions.
I just shared the link on the chat if you guys want to
Oh,
try out.
yeah,
And
I highly recommend to install the Chrome extension or the Firefox extension or whatever extensions are available, because that's going to make your life much easier. Because whenever you're on a website, you can just ask a question and it'll try its best to answer your question based on the site you are on.
so
Nice.
great.
Very cool.
And this is backed by ChatGPT behind, right?
I'm thinking it is. Yes, I'm thinking it is.
Cool. Bruno, I've seen your. Do you want to share something here? I see your screen. Not more, not anymore.
No, you stop it. I was, yes. So I was just ready for the book, but
Yeah,
I
what were you
think you
sharing,
canceled.
Bruno? Why don't you share it again?
No. I'm just ready for the book. So whenever you guys decide to share the books, I'll be ready for it.
Okay. Well, actually, we are. I've been starting to share links to watch. Since I mentioned about Microsoft Build and Google's I/O event, to be aware of some cool stuff that they are doing on this topic. I've been sharing 2 links here if you are curious to watch. It's not the whole event. Actually, I watched the 10 minutes of those events, so they highlighted some some topics that sounds interesting or important for the event. So it will also save your time. That is more important than anything. So if you are curious, you can watch them. was interesting thing. They are doing a lot with those generative AI tools. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. How about you, Bruno? Money.
So I just shared a book called Deep Works by Cal Newport. It's a very different kind of a book. It's a person from the tech industry, from academia, actually has written a book on how the whole of the tech industry has become so distracting because of notifications like Twitter, notifications from coming from apps like Twitter, and all kinds of other distractions, that it really takes your mind away from doing deep
Yeah.
work. And our industry, we find a lot of us who are distracted, not able to focus, and not able to do the deep work we are meant to do as intellectual professionals. Um,
Hmm.
and it's a great read. And I have even used quotes from the book in my presentations that I did a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
in several different instances, because those quotes are so useful. I highly recommend this book. It's a very small book, not many pages, but the content is worth remembering. And he's also put some exercises in there that we can follow. And it's a very easy
Right.
read. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that book too. That's a great suggestion, Money.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So,
I also wanted to share one more thing before we so Perplexity, it's going to be worth it to watch this video. It's going to be worth it to watch this video before we you sign up to the service, because the video walks you through the different things you can do with the app, with the service.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be about it. Over to you, Bruno. Sorry for chipping in.
No problem. No, it's all good. Okay. So, I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, and so instead of sharing a book, I'm gonna share this playlist. So I've been traveling around Europe, and I'm visiting 9 countries, doing 13 events this last month, and I'm a little over halfway of the trip, right? So this week started my second half of the trip, and so I'm publishing a lot of tips on career, all that on this playlist right there, right? So so today instead of sharing a book, I'm going to share this playlist because it has a lot of tips on it.
All right,
Yeah, that's
cool.
great. And where you are right now, Bruno? I'm seeing this unusual pink wing behind you.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. So I'm actually right now I'm in Ibiza.
Ibiza.
So
Ah,
yeah, Ibiza. Yeah, Ibiza is an island in south of Spain, right? So it's in Spain, so it's an awesome place, and we're running here J Ibiza. That is,
nice.
you know, the first year of this new unconference, right? So, and if anyone want to follow that, if you go to my channel, we are streaming the whole event in my channel, right? So tomorrow at 10 a.m. Ibiza time, Central Europe time, we're gonna start again. And so if you come to my channel tomorrow morning, if I mean Ibiza time again, right? In Brazil, it's kind of early. 10 a.m. is like I don't know, right? It's like 6 hours
6 a.m.,
behind. It's like 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Oh,
Yeah, or
it's
no,
far.
I think 5 hours behind. 5 hours behind. So it's like gonna be like 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Yeah, still
Yeah.
early.
So it's too early, right? But if you wanna join in before work, right? If you wanna join
Yeah,
us,
that's good.
or if you're in Europe, right, and watching us, we're gonna be we start from it's only in the morning, right? So from 10 a.m. Ibiza time to 2 p.m. Ibiza time. So that's an conference, and we're streaming everything. Today we had lots of people watching online, and yeah, there's some people sending questions online. So if you want to do that, please join us tomorrow.
I didn't know there's so many developers in Ibiza. It's a small island there. So
Well, it's actually they actually going to run a larger event later for Postgre, right? So it's not. I don't think it's people from the island itself. It's just people
Ah,
coming
coming from
from outside. Yeah.
other
Yeah.
outside. Oh yeah, that makes sense. And you should be partying, right? You are in Ibiza. This type of party there.
I actually I did not go have dinner with people just to come here.
Oh,
And
Oh
that's an
participate with
wow!
you
honor.
guys. Right? So
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
brother.
Bruno. Thank you, Bruno, for doing that. I'm sure the
yes,
viewers appreciate that a lot, and the fact that you did a sacrifice just to give them your time.
that's all good. That's all good. It's just like we're here. I've been missing you guys for several weeks, and I said, look, so today I can do it. So why not?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. So yeah, I think we have reached here the end of the session. I want to
Hmm.
thanks Manny, thanks Bruno for joining us today, and special thanks for the people that is watching us.
Hmm.
Special thanks for Layton that interact here with us. So see you. I hope to see you guys on the next session. See you. Bye bye.
See
All
ya.
right.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye.